All right. Hello, everybody. If you are here, you know why. So I am just going to dive in. The first step is to sign up for GitHub. In this video, you can skip ahead using the YouTube chapters if you want. So here we are at github.com. Hopefully you've gotten to the link from the guide. I do recommend you follow along with the written guide where all the links are. Let's sign up here. So pretty easy. We're just going to put in my email address. I'm either a fast, clumsy typer or a very slow typer. Now here, we're going to create a password using a password manager. If you don't have a password manager, it's time to get one. There's a little note in the guide. Give yourself a username. We're going to give ourselves a consistent username for everything here. And let's not get any more spam. No thanks, GitHub. And let's continue. We're going to have to solve a little puzzle just to keep going here. Some spiral galaxies. Apparently we have been verified as a human and we can create an account. So then you're going to receive an email at the email address you've specified, and here off screen I'm just retrieving that code. We'll type it in to validate ourselves. Let me get rid of this Chrome pop-up. I tried to do this video as if I was you and that I didn't have a lot of experience or hadn't done any of this before. All right, welcome to GitHub. That's exciting. You know what? Let's skip this. I don't know why GitHub needs to know this. Ooh, they've got a cool new graphic. It's been a while since I signed up for a GitHub account. Great. So that is step one complete. The next step, and the thing we need to do, is to fork the Nitescout repository. The Nitescout is code repository. So here I'm just going to paste in the link. This link is in the guide, so you would have clicked it. And then we're going to go over here and click on this fork button. The defaults are great, so you can just click Create Fork, and that step is complete. You have your own copy of the code. The next step is to sign up for AWS. So again, if you don't really want to follow along in the video with the sign-up process and you're pretty comfortable to go through with it yourself, you can just skip ahead and either pause this or fast forward, whatever. But for those of you who want something step-by-step, here we go. So I'm going to put in the same email address I used for GitHub. I'm going to give myself a username, an account name really for AWS, and then we're going to have to verify our email address. So off screen here, I'm getting the verification code, and I'm going to punch it in. So yeah, you're probably going to want to have your email account handy. Now I'm going to give myself a password. So this is another great opportunity to use a password manager to generate a password. And we can continue. We're going to create an account for personal use. Fill in all the details. I'm just going to do this bit real time. See what happens. Walk through it with you. Again, it's been forever since I created a new AWS account. I'm going to blur out my details, or they will be blurred out when you're watching this. I do live in Canada. All right. So let's go ahead and continue along here. I think we're all set. Let's get rid of this pop-up. And now we're going to put in a credit card. So most of these details will be obscured on screen. There's a little note here about the free tier and costs. If you haven't had a chance to read the FAQ about what this might cost, it's probably worth doing so. AWS is self-serve, and that means you can use as much as you can afford. And often more than you can afford in some cases. Some businesses really struggle with the cost of AWS. So here we're going to put in a credit card number. just retrieving the credit card number from my password manager. There we go. Put in all these details. This should be really blurred out at the moment because I really don't want anyone to guess any of this. All right, so we need to confirm our identity. So if you read the guide, you will have known that you need a valid phone number. And if this is a surprise to you, you really do have to verify that you are a real person. So I am just going to have a look at my phone and get the text message that I hope they sent me. Yep, it seems that I have one, so let's type it in. This will be blurred out as well, though it doesn't really matter. AWS is going to try to sell you on support. You don't need it. And that is the second sign up done. So now we're going to create our credentials. And basically, we are going to set up the account that we are going to use. So we're going to log in to AWS using the information that is stored in our password manager. Hopefully you did do that. Otherwise, you might want to pause here and get the username and password that you have stored somewhere. Again, I think it's pretty imperative that you do not have these passwords written down outside of a password manager. They should be considered as sensitive as your banking information. Don't give it out. Let's get rid of this pop-up. And so we are going to create your credentials here. And we're going to, let's click away all these first time things. We're going to click on security credentials from this drop down. The first thing we're going to do actually before we get there is I highly recommend setting up multi-factor authentication. It's just another layer of protection like you would do with your bank. So at this point, you probably want to pause the video and get whatever tool it is you use for multi-factor authentication out. If you're not using multi-factor authentication, you can skip this step, but I highly recommend you don't. So I'll just set this up here in I use Authy, and I'll put a link on screen to what you can use. You can pause the video and go download the tool right now and set that up separately. There's probably, YouTube videos on how to do that. I don't want to expect that this is run-of-the-mill, but multi-factor authentication is pretty standard at this point. So hopefully you have something. So now that that's done, we are going to go and create what is called your AWS access key and your AWS secret access key, your AWS access key ID and your AWS secret access key. So we're going to click add user and we're going to give it a username. Here, I'll zoom this up to make it more legible. We'll give it a username. We're going to use the same one we've been using this whole time, and we are going to select access key. This is going to create or help us create a set of keys, or really one key, that we are going to use to deploy Nitescout. So let's click next for permissions, and then the next thing we want to do is click attach existing policies directly. You're going to search for a couple of policies. They are in the user guide, but I'll go through them here. The first is Amazon EC2 full access. And by typing EC2 in the filter, we can find it in the list and select it. You're also going to type root 53 and select root 53 full access. And then finally VPC and VPC full access. So what are we doing here? Well, if you've read my guide, you'll have noticed some warnings about what can happen if somebody gets the key that we're making now, or your username and password. And what we're doing is creating a key that only has access to the services in Amazon we need, so that if it is ever compromised, it's limited in scope to what the user can do. So we're going to click Next. And we don't need to use tags here. We'll click Next, Review again. And so we're going to create a user with only permissions to the 3 parts of Amazon we need to run Nightscout. So let's click Create User and move forward. So our user is created, and now you're going to need to get your handy password manager to copy in these 2 pieces of information, the access key ID and the secret access key. These will be more or less your keys to the Amazon kingdom. So you want to keep them safe. We're going to copy them and save them into our password manager. You have to save these in some place that is secure. We are actually going to use these 2 pieces of information and copy them into Terraform Cloud later on in this guide. And when you've done that, you can actually delete them from your possession. So the next step is to register your domain for Nightscout. So this is going to be the domain you want to use to host Nightscout. So we're going to click Services, and we are going to go down here to Networking and Content Delivery, and then we are going to click on Route 53. This one's pretty straightforward. We're going to go down here to Register Domain, and we are going to type in a domain for ourselves to use. I'm going to use the domain Nightscoutster, because that's not a mouthful or anything like that. So let's say Nightscoutster. And we're going to see if it's available. And it looks like it's widely available. And let's pick this one, nightscoutster.link, because it's just $5 a year. So we'll fill out our contact information. I'm going to blur some of this out again. Just a little more. Almost done. Looks like we're good. Oh, it doesn't like that I forgot a space in my postal code. Okay, so let's just review here. Oh wait, what's this? I accidentally left the .com domain in, and I don't want it. I make mistakes too. Can I click here? Nope. Okay, let's just go back. And let's go back again. And let's delete this domain so we are just registering nightscoutster.link, and we'll go forward. Okay, so let's see. Do we need to agree to anything? Yep, terms and conditions. And then it looks like it's waiting for me to verify my email address. That's odd. But okay. Let's figure this out. What are we doing here? Do I have an email? I'm checking my email off screen right now. No, it doesn't seem it. So let's resend the verification email. Oh, it looks like it actually sent and was verified. That's pretty odd. Okay. Anyway, things are weird. I think there are going to be some things where you're like, that's not what I saw on screen. I've tried to minimize it, but that's that. So now our domain request is pending. We're going to have to do a few steps here. You are going to have to confirm a few emails and then wait for an email to say hey, is your domain's ready? You'll see that email later on. This should take about 10 minutes so we can move on to other things, like signing up for Terraform Cloud. So let's register for Terraform Cloud. Give ourselves a username. Let's keep using the same username we've been using this whole time. Same email address to keep things easy. And let's use our password manager to generate a new password for Terraform Cloud. Let's get rid of this pop-up from Chrome. And let's do the same little dance we do. I'm going to look at my email address and confirm my email by pasting it in here. Into the address bar, I'll paste in the link, but you should just click it in the email you received. And we've done it. We have arrived at Terraform Cloud. So now we need to wait for our domain to be available. It should take about 10 minutes. And this is the email you'll receive when it's successful. So let's deploy Nightscout with Terraform. This is the part you've all been waiting for. We're going to click Start from Scratch. And we're going to create an organization. It's just the way Terraform works. We'll just keep using the same string, Nightscout user. You can put in whatever you want. And before we get to creating a new workspace, there's something we need to do. We need to use those two strings, that secret key from Amazon. We're going to click on Settings, click on Variable Sets, and click Create Variable Set. We're going to give the variable set a name, AWS Credentials. I'm going to have a look here. We want it to apply to all workspaces in this organization. Now we're going to add a variable. We're going to select environment variable, and we're going to type in AWS access key ID. And we're going to copy the value that we saved for that in our password manager. So we're going to copy it here. And let's give it a name, a description, just to be good. And let's add another variable, another environment variable, and this key will be AWS secret access key. And this is the secret. So we're going to click sensitive so it doesn't show in the future on screen. It'll show here once when you're putting it in. I'm going to blur it out. And we will add that. So let's just double check that everything is right. We've created the variable set. Let's go back in and just have a quick look to make sure it's all there. Environment. So now let's go to workspaces, and the fun begins now. We're going to create a workspace. And we have a couple of options here, and we're going to choose the first one, version control workflow. This is going to allow Terraform to take the code in GitHub and pull it in. So we're going to click on GitHub, github.com, and we are going to authorize Terraform Cloud to take our code from GitHub and use it. Oh, there's an error. I left this in the video because I wanted to show you that things sometimes happen. This is a pop-up being blocked. So we're going to click Allow Pop-ups from Terraform Cloud. So GitHub, github.com. We're going to click on Authorize Terraform Cloud. We're going to allow it access to all our repositories. And here we only have one. We have one repository, Nitescout as code, and that's the one we're going to pick. So we'll click on Nitescout as code. And we have to do one other thing here, which is click on Advanced Options. And in the Terraform working directory, we're going to type /Terraform /AWS. Everything else is fine. We don't need to touch it. Let's click Create Workspace. So what's going to happen here is Terraform's going to look at the code in GitHub and say, hey, there are 3 variables, that's values, that you need to enter to make this work. The first is the domain name we registered. So let's put it here, nightscout.stir.link. Then we need to give Nitescout a password. So I'm going to type in something here. It won't work for the Nightscout stir domain. Ideally, you're going to create one with your password manager. So let's generate one. Let's copy it here. And then let's enable the Nitescout features we want. For this demo, we're just going to use the default features. You could put in something like bridge. We won't do that today. We're just going to use the defaults. We're going to click Save Variables. We've saved them. I wish there was more visual feedback beyond this because it feels like it's not done, but trust me, it is. So we've saved the variables. And then we are going to go down here and click Start New Plan. Now, when we click on this button, if we've done everything correctly, Terraform will get ready to deploy Nitescout for us. And by deploy, I mean install it. But install all the software needed, configure the server, set up the domain. It will do everything for you. So let's click Start Plan, and let's type something like, how about Let's Nitescout? Let's do it. So the Terraform planning process, this is where Terraform decides what it's going to do. It takes about a minute. So we're just going to wait here in real time while it does this. So it's still planning. You can ignore these warnings. They're not features we're using. So even when they do go away, not a big deal for us. Have a quick look. Not that this matters for most of us. As long as this plan is complete, which it is now, we're good to go. Let's apply. We don't need to write anything here. I don't know anyone who does. And that's it. So Terraform is now going to begin building what you need in AWS to run Nitescout. It's then going to configure the server on which Nitescout is running. So you can see here, creating resources. These are all the pieces that go into making Nitescout run on the internet. And this is going to take about 10 minutes. So go get a cup of coffee. This, in fact, is the server where Nitescout is being installed and configured. And this is the part that takes the longest amount of time. So I'm going to fast forward here. You can just see it doing its work. If you're curious, I'm curious. So yeah, let's just leave it and fast forward. So let's put this in super high speed. So 2 minutes ago, 3 minutes ago, just watch this go up. Twiddle our thumbs. And it's almost done. There we go. That's all it is. There's nothing left to do once you have that information in, other than visit your Nitescout. Now you're going to want to go right to your Nitescout link. You're going to be so excited, and you're going to go type in nitescoutster.link or whatever your domain is, and you're going to get a big old sad trombone. Don't worry about it. It's just that in the background, the computer is still getting ready. What it's actually doing is getting the certificate that is used to serve the site, to serve your Nitescout securely. And that takes a little bit of time, usually just a minute or two. So all you need to do is just visit the site again, and that should be it. Cross our fingers. Did we do it? We did it. You have your own Nitescout install. I hope it wasn't too complicated. As always, we welcome your feedback, and hope this helps you along on your journey to taking control of your health.